Welcome to another episode, the Choose Your S.O.U.L show. And we are passionate about providing perspective and resources to help you choose yourself to strengthen your soul. So go ahead, subscribe, share, download, double tap, invite a friend to expand the collective so we can get this growth together.
Yeah, and make sure that you subscribe to our newsletters through our link in bio. I'll put it in the show notes as well. And you have to confirm your email, so don't forget to do that. And follow our podcast page at Choose Your S.O.U.L Show on Instagram. Make sure you tag us in your stories if you're listening. Leave us a review. That always helps the algorithm push it out to more viewers so we can get the message out and spread the messages to everybody.
Come on now, spread the love, voice the choice, and exemplify what it is to love yourself. Every episode, we got a special guest to help grow your mind. And today we got Mr. Jazz Hampton joining us from Minnesota. Athlete turned attorney for the people. Now has an app called Turn Signl where you can have 24/7 access to representation if them boys be on your ass. I also got a secret to tell y'all about Jazz and I in our childhood. We was childhood besties, man. I got a secret. Jazz don't even know his secret, and I'm going to tell him at the end, so y'all stay tuned. Hey, Jazz. Yeah, me too. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to see what your reaction. It's funny, though. It's funny. Good to see you, man. Appreciate you. How you been? How's the family?
They're doing really well. You know, I have 3 young kids, and my wife and I have 3 young kids, so that's keeping us busy. So, you know, I always say I always need a coffee or a beer, like one of the two at all times. So, but I'm good and works good. So I'm thrilled to be here. I love the platform and what you all are doing. I'm honored to be on the show.
I'm excited to learn from you.
Man, were you a computer science major?
Sorry. I was just going to say I'm excited to learn from you. I was checking out the app and it's so awesome what you put together. So proud of you for that. That's so great.
Yeah, I think maybe and you both experience this when your work is something that you're really passionate about or what you're working on. It doesn't feel like work every day, or even if you are working, it feels like you're working towards something. It makes you wake up feeling happier every day. So I feel like you be doing it.
Yeah, man. Keep the gratitude in your attitude, y'all. Yo, Jazz, so how did your childhood drive you to become a difference maker in society and the founder of Turn Signl?
You know, as you alluded to, I grew up in Richfield, Minnesota, so that's like the first ring suburb outside of Minneapolis. And I think I grew up, I started going to public school and then I transferred to private school. And during that time, I saw kind of 2 different sides of the railroad tracks. And not to sound cliche, but from the very beginning, I was given opportunities in that new space that I wasn't afforded to previously. And I think growing up in that and having those perspectives, it made me feel like a very Spider-Man. Well, if I have all these opportunities, what am I doing for folks on the other side of the tracks that don't? And maybe it's a negative thing, and maybe I'll have to work this out one day with a professional, but it was a sense of like, not guilt, but obligation. If you had all these opportunities given to you and they did all these great things for your life, your education, all of these things, how are you going to be able to turn and ensure that other people can have that as well? And I say obligation, but it's also something I love doing, right? And people, whenever you're doing something, quote unquote, like positive for the community or for other people are always like, oh, you're doing such great work. And like, surely for all the people doing the work, you want to, like, you enjoy it. Like, no one's like, oh, shoot, to go. It's enjoyable work as well. So I think having both perspectives of that life, and also like for my parents, my dad being Black, my mom being white, having like an understanding of 2 different worlds helps you bridge the gap more in a way that, you know, otherwise you wouldn't be able to. So growing up on 2 very different situations over the course of my childhood helped me kind of understand why and what I wanted to do. And of course, being in Minneapolis helped me want to do what I'm doing today at Turn Signl.
What's up, AF?
I just had to unmute myself.
How you feeling? I feel like you can relate.
I can relate. I feel
like you can relate to it.
Because, I mean, I'm just all white, you know, like whatever. But growing up, I did have, I was friends with I'm from a town of 1,000 people in northern Wisconsin. And all my best friends were like the only brown people in the town. Okay. So I got to see their parallels and how they grew up and just noticing their lives and how different they were compared to mine because of that difference in race or whatever. And then also my son is mixed, so his dad's Black, I'm white, and just noticing how he gets treated differently in certain situations and like being very aware of that and then standing up for the cause when I can as a white ally, which we talked about in our last episode too. But yeah, so I see what you mean. And it's just, for me, it's like I want to stand up for the oppressed people and should use my voice when I can in the moments that I should be, as we all should be, but just being aware that I should step up when the opportunity presents itself.
Every time. Hey, Jazz, have you ever had, it's about equality, not the color. Because on the site it says Black home. But if the colors were reversed, we would be representing the suppressed. So don't get it twisted because we mixed that we picking a side. We trying to help whoever is at the bottom, y'all, for equality, not for the color. It just happens to be Black people right now. And we developed a have you ran into any conflicts about that, being half white and half Black and claiming to be Black throughout your life or even now?
No, and Hakeem knows this. I'm the youngest of four, and all of my older siblings look a lot darker than me. They have black hair, they have darker features, all those things. And so I think there's been, I guess I'd have to leave it up to other people if I would be what other people call like white passing at times. But I haven't had any conflict especially from like the Black community around it. I think that, again, on the long list of things that make better suited to be the CEO of TurnSignl, being a lawyer, having a computer science undergrad degree, being a former public defender, being a social justice advocate in the state of Minnesota, where Dante Wright, Philando Castile, George Floyd all occurred. I think it made me prepared to be in this role, and I think having and growing up and having a Black experience also was a part of that as well. I think that is a part of why a lot of people initially started using TurnSignl. But we know that I always say that TurnSignl is like hip hop, like it was created by people of color for them and in a space where they felt like it was needed. But it grew to be pop culture, right? And that's what we're seeing with TurnSignl as well. I can't tell you how many, white suburban moms send us messages saying like, hey, my teenage daughter was pulled over by an unmarked police car and she was terrified and didn't know what to do or if it was really a police officer. And your platform helped guide her through that interaction, right? So we knew from the beginning that it was going to be universally adopted by everybody, but we also knew why we started. Disparities in how certain folks were treated and had interactions with law enforcement. We know that Black folks are pulled over disproportionately, they're searched disproportionately, and are in jail disproportionately. So we knew that was a piece of what the reason why we started the work, but we knew it was going to be widespread and beyond just that.
That was the thing growing up too. I think Bloomington had the most racist cops by some long shot of pullovers or something like that. And that was a thing that was through all the schools, and that was like a joke amongst the suburb white kids and the Black kids. Like, Black kids can't drive on the west side of Bloomington because you get pulled over. And that was a joke. I thought it was funny too. And I for sure did not go over there unless I had my white friend driving. I said, hell no, my mom is white. I'm with my white friend. But that was a stigma too. I'd take my hat off when I was driving, and that was just what it was.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of like the conversation a lot of parents have with their and it's funny you said that. One of my best friends from 6th grade all the way through today, I was texting him this morning. He's a white kid from Bloomington, and after George Floyd, we had conversations around race relations, around disproportionately, all those things. But he called me after, and he came over to my house, and this is during the pandemic. Like, this is the summer of 2020 when like we're still like wiping down pizza boxes with Lysol wipes. Yeah, remember that time? And so him and I were standing outside, and he was like, after all of this happened, he's like, I had a flashback to when you were pulled over, and my friend was in the passenger seat, and he was like, and I remember you were pulled over, and you immediately took off. And he's like, and at the time I never thought why you did that. And he's like, but now, like in this moment of like a reckoning of relationship between these communities, he's like, I see why you did that. And he's like, I never thought about it till 20 years later in this moment. And it's real, a lot of those conversations are happening with folks. And when we started the platform, we were just like, we want to bridge that gap. So if an officer sees a TurnSignl bumper sticker and they pull over that car, I want them to think, oh, this is going to be the safest. And like, that's great. And maybe I can be a little more calm walking into this interaction. And on the same token, I want the driver to think like, there's an attorney here. They'll give me advice. They'll give me guidance. And hopefully, because the attorney's hearing is being recorded, this is going to be a really safe interaction for me as well. And if we can start like with the entire temperature being lowered, everyone's going to be better.
I didn't even think about the cop's point of view. I didn't even think about that.
If you're a police officer and you're walking up to a car and the interaction is being recorded, there's an attorney there, don't you have the confidence that that person is a lot less likely to wild out and do something like out of the norm? Like, hopefully. And that's what we're trying to provide to them. And we try to tell it to them all the time. It's like, wouldn't you rather have that? And it's better than, there's so many people who are like going live or streaming the interactions or calling their mom's uncle who thought about being a paralegal once. Like, that isn't good advice. It might raise the temperature. They're worried that that person now has your geolocation and going to run on the scene. Like, all of those things can be dispelled with our platform. It's like the attorney's just there to de-escalate the interaction.
Damn. Hey, have you ever had an experience with The cops, a bad experience, good experience. I feel like you're the one that be yelling in their face. You're the white girl like, you need to leave him alone. Put his fucking hands up. He ain't got nothing but some side ass.
I just get really like snappy. I did. With my ex-boyfriend, he was very dark skinned. We got pulled over once, and for no reason. But I was like, kind of getting snappy with the cop. I'm like, why did you pull us over? He's like, I just want to make sure you're okay. I'm like, what do you mean? Is it because my boyfriend's black? Like, so that situation, I just get like really mouthy with people, which I see that's a privilege of mine, right? Like, not everybody can be like that, or they might get handcuffed, thrown in jail, or even shot. So, but yeah, and then I've gotten pulled over other times where I think I have like pretty privilege too, because they think I'm cute and they're like, oh, this is a warning, you're fine. So yeah, and so you brought up the taking your hat off and putting your hands on the steering wheel. That white people don't have to think about that stuff, right, for a long time. And so just also when you're raising kids who are not white, you have to teach those things really early, which white parents with just white kids don't have to think about that ever. So it's like, that's the difference with growing up in America being like slightly a little bit non-white. You have to learn all these things to keep yourself safe, which your app is helping to change that around, right? So I love that.
Jazz's kids, blonde hair, blue eyes. Don't wait with all kind of shit until they check their ID and see Hampton. Oh shit, that's a Turn Signl son.
I was one of my sons looks like me, and my youngest son, he looks like he has like really straight hair, like you would not know that he's my son. I walked to the barbershop this past week, and my barber was like, I know he's yours. And whose baby?
The milkman daddy, baby.
Yeah.
No, but my mom called me and was like, did you hear about that guy Jazz got out of jail? Can you tell us about that? How'd that go? What was that, as much as you can?
Yeah, no. So I am the CEO of Turn Signl, but I'm also on 3.5 nonprofit boards. So Minneapolis Foundation, Catholic Charities, and then the last one is the Great North Innocence Project, which is a regional organization that works on freeing wrongfully incarcerated people, right? And so being on the board, you're just like ensuring that the budget is in line and that the employees of the organization are living and doing the mission. But then you can also volunteer to be an attorney on any case that's being handled as well. And so we had a case here in the city of Minneapolis, an individual named Marvin Haynes. So Marvin, when he was 16 years old, was handcuffed, arrested, and taken to jail, and he didn't know why. Actually, he was 15 at the time when he was taken in. And there was a murder that occurred in North Minneapolis, and he knew nothing about it and didn't understand why it was happening. And he was put in jail when he was 16, and fast forward 19 years later, he was never released. And so he was wrongfully convicted from the age of 16 until his mid-30s, 36, I think so. Great North Innocence Project learned about his case. They read all the facts. They found out that and believed that this individual was wrongfully incarcerated. And so when they started the case and they finally had a trial date set, right around that time, you have to find more lawyers because there's only 2 working on the case. You need an entire trial team to work up the case. And so I joined that trial team. There's 3 of us, and it was set for a 3-day, called evidentiary hearing, but a 3-day trial essentially, where kind of walked through the whole case again in front of a judge and against the prosecutors from the same kind of impounding office that put him in jail when he was 16 years old. Like the short summary of the facts were, he was described as like weighing something like 100. The perpetrator was described as weighing something like 180 pounds or something, and he was 15 or 16-year-old that was like 120 pounds soaking wet. They described a close cropped haircut, like mine or Hakeem's, and he had, and this is not an exaggeration, like a Ben Wallace afro, like a huge Randy Moss afro. The day that they brought him in, and in fact, part of the evidence that they did in that trial was to do the photo lineup, which had seriously so many issues to start with. But the biggest issue was they took a picture of him from when he was 2 years earlier, when he had a fade, when he had a close cropped haircut, and put that in the lineup, picture of him with the afro that day. So he was just wrongfully ID'd. Anyone who said that he was there or heard that he was there had recanted. One of the witnesses that I questioned on the stand was his cousin, who at the grand jury hearing, during the police investigation, and at the actual trial, at all times said, they keep forcing me to say he did it, but he didn't, and I don't know that, but they keep forcing me to, or they say they're going to throw me in jail for 15 years as a 14-year-old. All these things. And so he was wrongfully convicted. And so I got to know Marvin over the course of 2023, preparing for that. The hearing was set for November of right after Thanksgiving. So the end of November, we had the hearing, and by the end of it, they not only did it not have to go to a decision, the prosecutor actually ended the hearing before it was done, and said, we're going to release him and drop all charges. And I got to spend Christmas with Marvin. It was a really, really powerful moment. And it's, I'm 33 years old, and I think it'll be hopefully one of the greatest things that I do as a lawyer in my life. And I'm lucky that I got to do it so early. But more than anything, like, I'm lucky to know Marvin. He is like one of the greatest human beings. One of the first things he said to me when we found out he was going to be released was like, there's two victims here. Like, I am a victim, but more importantly, like, that family's a victim, because they still don't know who hurt their loved one, who killed their father, their cousin, their uncle. And so it just is a testament to how strong of a person he is and how powerful his story is. And I'm thrilled to see him thriving on the outside now. And I'm thrilled.
Damn, that's tight. Is that going to be part of your MO now? Releasing the wrongfully accused, or that's always been a mission? Equality.
No, that was, yeah, I firmly believe in, like, again, in the same way, like, I've seen both sides of the tracks, and that makes me feel like I have to help. But, like, I'm a lawyer, like, and if I'm not using that to help people who need it the most, like, I don't feel like I'm doing what I should be doing. So, it's not my full-time job right now. My full-time job is more on the front end of ensuring that people have their rights protected before they're there. But I will continue doing Innocence Project work and continue to help those who are wrongfully convicted as long as I can be a lawyer, because it's just really impactful. It is different though, because, and this is like I maybe again should talk to a professional about this one day, but like, Turn Signl has over 100,000 downloads and is helping people pulled over every single day. And that's really great because it's so many people. But then on the other side, like, Marvin was just one person, but I got to know him so personally, and I wanted him to be free, and he deserved to be free. And like, how do you allocate your time to like tens of thousands of people or one person at a time? And like, how are you best using that time is something I think a lot of people struggle with. But if we don't have people doing the work of freeing these folks, they're just going to stay incarcerated. So like, and it's very, very, very
amazing story. I got chills in my body when you were telling it. I almost shed a tear, but then it makes you think, how many other people are in there wrongfully accused that are living that way, So I keep doing that work.
Yeah, there's millions of people incarcerated, and the estimations are that like 2 to 5% are wrongfully incarcerated. So think of 2 to 5% of millions of people. I think it's 5 million people incarcerated. So there's a lot of folks that need to be released. And I got to go with Marvin to an annual conference of the wrongfully convicted, and like, it was over 6,000 years collectively of the people in the room that had spent incarcerated that were wrongfully and free. So there's a lot of folks and a lot of work that needs to be done for sure.
Yeah, damn. I know one thing: don't be punching white boys in white towns. Okay. If I learn one thing, it don't matter if you're black or you're light skinned. Listen, my dad said, when you go down there playing with them white boys, leave them white boys and them white girls alone. I didn't listen. And I punched the shit out this white dude. And my very first crime ever, I got 20 years probation, first degree assault, 86 months over my head with the same or similar on my 19th birthday. And the victim didn't press charges. It was the prosecutor that wanted this huge lengthy sentence. And 11 years later, I had called Jazz a couple of times like, yo, what's the process? He put me on with a couple of his friends. I just wasn't in a position or the mindset to even handle my own shit at the time. I was just at a point where I was like, I'm getting sick of this probation. Where do I go? So what do? Grow my mind and research, y'all, what I've been saying this whole time to figure out what's possible. And eventually I just wrote a letter. That's it. I wrote a letter about 2 pages long to my PO. She sent it to my PO in Winona. They sent it to the judge. The judge just released me everything. I was like,
so fast.
That don't happen like that. Wait, you just released me, dropped the felony, no more probation, no nothing. After 11 years of being on there, house arrest, went to jail twice, treatment, freaking sober, all these restricted, couldn't go play football anywhere because I couldn't leave the county, all these things that happened. And now I'm wondering, maybe you can give me some insight on this. Do you think that was in correlation with the shift in the system where when you're in a small courtroom like that, 2 judges, 2 prosecutors, Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas together, our kids love each other, and we talk about this shit, especially if we don't like them, and you're in that environment, it's hard for you to be the first one to speak out. Now, if she had a light heart, which I think she did, because the dude was trying to give me 7 years. She's like, we not putting him in prison, Kevin. Stop. He's like, well, he freaking punched his tooth out. He'll never have a tooth again. And she's like, stop saying he's not going to prison. He's 19 and he's still in school. Like, chill. So I kind of seen that. Nice. She made me read a book and do a book report. So I seen kind of the, rehabilitation process. I'm thinking like maybe after the rest of the system was starting to get shook and people were getting released and she's seeing other judges like have a change of heart. She was like, oh yeah, this guy, shit, this was fucked up. My bad. Write him off. Does that happen like with time? Obviously that's what you're going for.
Yeah, no, I actually think it'd be hard for me to put it more eloquently than you just did. I think that judges they have a really, really hard job. They have a lot of people that will push them to do really heavy saying they want to be tough on crime, all these things. But then also when I was a public defender for 2 years when I was in law school, I represented the same dude several times, right? And he would be in and out, and that can be, to a judge, that can wear on their ability to extend empathy or grace or believe when people say, because everyone says the same thing, but not that they're going to be better, they're not going to do it, it won't happen again. But not everyone does it. That can really erode their trust in any people saying things. And there's a litany of other things, from a lack of understanding of how you're perceiving someone based on their race or their background or their differences from you, that is subconscious, that'll help make those decisions as well. But the other thing is, I'm a firm believer that people have core beliefs and they really rarely change. And if a judge is a good person and their core belief is I just need to make this community safer, the things that contribute to those core beliefs will change over years. And so when you were first arrested, they probably thought to make this community safer, which is a core belief of mine, I have to ensure that he's on probation for 20 years. And then I guarantee 6 years later, what research and time and evidence has proven is probation doesn't help. It is not helping this situation. It's not making our community safer. It's just making this person's life harder and maybe improving or increasing the rate of recidivism, more likely to do it again. And then when an opportunity to correct that comes, if you're a good person, one of the core things, you're oh, I made a mistake previously and I'm going to. There are so many good people doing that work, but it's just really hard. And to your point, it's hard to be the first person to take that step. It's hard to change a culture that is pervasive. If you're a police officer that's seeing something that maybe you don't like, it's really hard to be the one that goes against the grain saying, hey, we shouldn't be doing that. But the more people that can do it, and the more, that's why I think marches and protests and all these things, I do think that creates pressure and gets people to say you know what, we shouldn't be doing this anymore, and more people can be encouraged to do it. But protests and marches and activism is the first step. The next step is someone has to do something to change within the system. And if that person has courage, like you said, the next few will as well start changing the system. But I absolutely believe people used to think probation for 20 years was a good thing. That doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help you grow and move to a new state and start a new chapter of your life where you're wildly successful, helpful, encouraging, and empowering people to be the best version of themselves. Sticking you in one county for 20 years doesn't do that, right? And maybe they thought it would keep people safe at the time, but it doesn't. And so hopefully more and more people are able to change their viewpoints based on what they're learning from experiences just like yours.
Basically, y'all, if you're on probation, stop fucking up and stop trying to cheat the system until you can get off that shit, because they ain't playing. I violated 7, 8 times. I was surprised I even, not major violations, petty violations. I wasn't out here freaking starting fires and assaulting people, but maybe I was getting away with some. But either way, if you're on probation, right, man, once you get on probation, even if it's wrong, they on your ass. So just clean up your act for a little bit until you can get free or get some representation, because to continue to play the victim, be like, man, I don't belong here, I'm gonna keep smoking, man, fuck them, that's fucked up, I'm gonna keep drinking, that's gonna be worse, man. It's just gonna be worse, even if you're right.
And not to talk about that point, but there's a really good opportunity to just lay out a plan and hey, I messed up 7 times, and going to the PO and saying, hey, I promise this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do these things for the next 6 months. So we're gonna check in, and I want you to be like, hey, I'm gonna write a letter saying the king is doing great for the last 6 months. And then guess what? I'm gonna do it another 6 months, I promise. You can always restart the clock and say from here on out, I'm gonna do better. No one is the greatest version of themselves until that day, right? So like you can always reset the clock.
And I had like 3 years of good behavior. That's why. But
No, I was just gonna say, as a child of someone who was on probation, my dad was in and out of jail my entire life. He was on probation. I became buddies with his freaking probation officer growing up, like while he was in the house. But I mean, he had 11. My dad got 11 DUIs over the course of so many years, right? And in and out of jail. So just the effect that had on me as a kid. So think about, if you're a parent out there and you're on probation, yeah.
that's a lot.
If you're a parent out there and you're on probation and you keep like fucking up and making these mistakes, your kids are watching and it hurts them emotionally and shuts them down in certain ways, because I had to deal with all this emotional turmoil because my dad would be in and out from always fucking up. So just something to think about if you are in that situation with a kid. Just think about them over yourself.
I do suggest families teach activism to their kids, especially, when you got internet cancel culture, the tension in the streets, crime, and these new kids getting real freaking confident too online. They be saying, and that'll take a whole company down. How do you suggest, obviously you have family, AF, you have a kid, teaching how to stick up for yourself and stick up for the community?
To be honest with you, when I think about teaching it to my children or this next generation, it gets more unnecessarily complicated as we get older. Like if someone does something wrong to my son, who's a 4-year-old, if there's a kid who pushes them or is like being mean to him physically or verbally, like it is so simple at that age to be like, hey man, tell them to stop it. Tell them that you're not okay with it. Protect yourself, whatever you have to do. But like also know that like that kid probably is going through something. Like people, like very tiny percentage of the world is like inherently evil and just doing it because they want to be evil, or like they're going through. And so like have some empathy. Understand that like maybe at home he's struggling because his dad is going through X, or his mom lost his job, or his parents are fighting, right? And think about that perspective and think about how like your situation is good and how that you need to extend empathy because they're probably having it. That needs to be continued for the rest of life. Like I'm a firm believer in like if people are doing something wrong or messing up, I don't want to punish them for the sake of punitive to make you feel bad or to get back at you. My goal is to hope that that person gets on a better path. If someone has several DUIs, my hope is that in my perspective, like they have a problem maybe with drinking in that situation, and maybe they need help, not punishment. Maybe we can help them get to a better place so that the roads are safer, their children are happier, and all of those things. Like I'm a firm believer in the same thing I teach a 4-year-old. It needs to be continued to all adults in all situations everywhere. And no one is being rude or evil or making poor decisions because, I don't know, I felt there's underlying reasons, and it doesn't have to be that deep. Like I'm having a rough day. If I'm shorter or more cranky with my kid, I probably had a bad day. And I have to see that and be like, yo, you're not mad at Hendrix for not listening to you that much. You're just a little frustrated because that happened at work. And so being able to have more empathy and understanding those situations, I don't know, if you have feelings around that, but that's kind of how I view it.
That's exactly what I tell Sebastian, because he's going into 2nd grade. So when they get to school age and they start dealing with all these other kids, and you're not, because he's an only child, so he grew up not really with a lot of other kids around, and he's a little bit, how only children get, right, Keem? Like, I think you and I are the same growing up. We're like, everything is mine and everything is mine.
We're just talking about it. I don't know,
so he's not used to like
don't touch that.
Exactly. So I tell him the same thing though. Like if someone's a bully to you or someone's being mean to you, they'll probably be sad at home behind closed doors. So you just have to be nice to them and tell a teacher if somebody hits you or whatever. And then maybe if someone, I don't know, when he gets older, I might tell him to fight back, but not at this age. But definitely the compassion and the empathy and just being like, oh, like there's something going on behind the scenes that's not really my problem. So same thing, same idea.
That was a rule at my house growing up. Was the first time you had to tell teacher, principal, whatever. The second time you have to defend yourself. And my dad had no part of any call on the second time for the school. He'd be like,
yeah,
their job. Like he did his, and you didn't do yours.
Yeah, I think I remember that. I think I remember hearing that shit, and I went back to my mom and I said, that's the rule. She's like, well, if that's what O'Neal says, listen, my mom used to love O'Neal. She still does. O'Neal was the coach. He got me off the soccer field, what Jazz did. Jazz got me off the, he talking about O'Neal's his dad. We was playing tackle football at recess in like 3rd grade. Jazz is like, aren't you playing football? Nobody could tackle your big ass, because I was too big. And then I met his dad, and his dad was like, oh, hell yeah, come on, we're going to get you. And then I tried to cut weight, be a running back, and I was like, I like defense, whatever. I just like hitting people because I was hitting people on a soccer field, and then I got the name King the Drink, and that's where that came from, was King Oscars. King Oscars, and I was a lead blocker for Jazz ever since. The leading rusher for Richfield for 3 years, undefeated, in the back washing dishes in the back of his parents' restaurant. I remember that. That was one of my first jobs.
That's right.
No, that's
Right.
cool. But do you think fitness has an impact on our ability to handle those situations with empathy instead of emotion? I mean, people who are unfit just tend to have less control of everything, I feel. What do you think about how fitness impacts that?
Yeah, I think there's a million ways that it impacts it, from a frustration outlet. Like, yeah, getting frustration out in fitness in and of itself is super valuable. But I also think, unfortunately, the if you aren't healthy, and if you aren't feeling healthy, and if you aren't feeling that because your health is bad and what you look like isn't what you hope to be looking like in that moment, like, that can create constant undertones of that frustration. So again, maybe it's not your mom and dad struggling at home. Maybe it's how you're feeling about your physical fitness in this moment that is making you feel lower and your fuse is shorter, right? Like, these are all things that contribute. And like, everyone knows that you release endorphins and you're in a better mood when you are working out your being. I think that a lot of people struggle, and Kim, I love what you've been doing on social media, talking about it recently, especially. I think there were just days still that really popped in. It's like, it's hard to start, but like, what else are you doing? It's like, you're just sleeping at that time. And the excuse is going to be like, I'm too tired to go. But if you're too tired to go, like, then start waking up an hour earlier. I don't know if you've ever read the book Atomic Habits, but it was like life-changing for me to be like, okay, well, for the next month, I'm just going to wake up 30 minutes earlier. I'm not going to go to the gym. I'm not going to go for a run. I'm not going to go for a walk. I'm not going to do push-ups. I'm just going to wake up 30 minutes earlier. And then month 2, now I'll go then do 15 push-ups when I wake up 30 minutes. And like, every time you're doing these steps, like, I promise you just feel better, and you don't need to sleep. And maybe you have to step before that. And it's like, okay, it's not getting up half an hour earlier. It's going to bed an hour. And maybe you can't do that. Maybe it's like, I'll just get in the bed an hour earlier. Like, you got to start somewhere, but I promise you, progress is what feels great, not the end goal. And so and it'll make you better in all of those interactions if your fuse is not as short.
Yeah, I just read a quote earlier today on Instagram that so many people focus on the goal, and that's why they don't reach it, because they're thinking about that end goal. But you have to, who are you becoming in the process? You have to focus on who you need to be to get to that goal, because you're never going to get to the goal by continuing the same habits that you're doing right now. And I love that you brought up the going to bed earlier. That's literally the answer, you guys. If you're like, I can't wake up early, I can't do this and that, it's because you're staying up late until 11 o'clock, midnight, scrolling on your phone with this blue light in your face, making you tired in your body. And then you can't wake up. You just got to go to bed earlier. That's literally it. Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
What's more beneficial, man? What you doing from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. or what you doing from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m.? Because you can shift. Instead of sleeping from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and staying up from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., you shift that back 2 hours. Now, you're not doing all that bullshit at night, all that binge eating, all that binge scrolling, all that binge watching, all that smoking, drinking, whatever you're doing. Now, all that's cut out, which helps you with your sleep, which helps you with the quality of your morning and your morning routine to set the foundation. And then you got 2 hours to prepare your intention for the day. Instead of waking up at 10 like, shit, I got to get ready. Now what? You done skipped yourself. You done looked at your email, looked at your phone, went in the bathroom. You done rushed and got ready, forgot an eyelash, not choosing yourself. Now you're at work, somebody that you're not even comfortable being because you ain't got the full makeup on. What you doing? Take your ass to sleep with the sun like you're supposed to.
Love this.
Yeah. That's how I feel.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I started going back hour by hour, man. I used to bartend till 2, party till 5, wake up at 2, go to the gym and bartend at 5. And I had to, once I started working with Revel, I had to be in the streets by 11. So I had to wake up at 8, go to the gym until 9:30, take a 30-minute nap at 10, then go out. And then eventually, as time went on, I didn't need the nap. And then it went to 7:30. And then it went to 7. And then it went to 6:30. Now it's fucking 3. And I'll be up from 3 to 3. Like today, I bartend all the way till 3 a.m. And I'll be up just fine, not tired, not crashing, unless I start eating. Then I get tired once I eat meat in the middle of the day, unless that meat be fucking me up now.
It's heavy.
Real.
It gets heavy.
Now, I was going to ask about your dad, man. Your dad's dope, man. Your dad, I still got to call him. I think I'm nervous.
Yeah.
No, your dad taught me a lot, man. He was a big mentor to me, and he was, you know how you always got that one coach or teacher that you could tell cares about you, so he's hard on you? That was O'Neal. And I think a big part of that was being in that house all the time. You know, I was the only child, so I go over there, kick it. They jump each other around the basement. We had a dance to the EI song for Nelly, and he's on the trampoline. Boy, what? Stop playing.
I still remember the dance.
Every time I hear that song, I'm like, oh, up to the sky. Yeah. But no, every time I saw him, every time it was around him, man, and then just, you know, obviously how he led our team and really took care of, you know, that transition I think from third grade till about that intermediate school. He kind of helped me whatever type of manhood I can get from that. But I think you're constantly growing into an adult. You're constantly growing characteristics. We put an age on manhood, but every year, which is why you have a different grade, a different mindset, different understanding, different ability to communicate. You're learning something. I learned a lot. So can you tell us about his journey?
Yeah. So my dad's born in Gary, Indiana, in the times when Gary was, you know, one of the worst cities in the world from poverty and crime standpoint. And then he moved up to Minnesota to try to go to school, but he never finished. And he met my mom, and they started, you know, their family at a young age. So he moved from Gary, Indiana to Minnesota to start school, and when he never finished, but he met my mom, and they started having kids at a young age, and they had us four. But he's always, you know, he was in the military as well, so the military, I think, helps him give structure and a little more rule following mentality that he has today. And he also grew up with a relationship with his dad as well. He's one of 13 kids, so the second youngest of all of those kids. And so he grew up with a strained relationship. And I think, you know, when you have those difficult relationships, I think what it often does is it helps repeat the cycle, or it makes you really want to break the cycle. And I think he worked really hard to do that. And then, you know, what he was doing with the team, he did for a whole bunch of other kids. So when my siblings got to high school, all of them had a group of friends that then just moved into our house and lived in our basement. And so there was, I think, 13 in total of Black high school kids that lived in our house. Our house was like 1,900 square feet.
That shit was far.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I got to go home, though.
Yeah. And so, like, yeah, and they moved in, and they were following the house rule, and it helped all of us, you know, not only get through high school, but go on to do really great things. But all of them stayed for a minimum of 2 years, most of them for 4 years of high school. And it started with one of them. Everyone called my dad Coach. It started with one of them, like, hey, Coach, can I come over for Thanksgiving? Like, you know, things are happening at home. And he came with a double bag and never left again. He stayed for the next 3 years. And then it was like, hey, you know, they heard that Cedric was doing it. And so Deontay asked, and then Rod, Jamal, Leon, you know, it just kept going on to the point where there was 12 or 13 of them over the course of the next 8 or 9 years. And they like became, some of them were distant family, some of them were cousins, and a lot of them became family, and they are to this day. And I think that's also where I got a little bit of like my, like, helping folks when you can. Like, my mom was working full time at the restaurant that she was running, and then coming home and cooking for these boys that my dad just kept bringing into the house to live with us. And they, like, by no means did we have a lot, but my parents were always doing the shit that they had. I think that was, you know, an impression that I caught on early that I really believe in. And, you know, you're giving a lot of credit to get a lot of it too, because she was the one sitting there cooking for all these people and working full time still, and always saying yes. Like, they never turned out.
Always laughing too. O'Neal didn't laugh all the time, but your mom would laugh when I told jokes, and I love that part, because I'd be like, "Son, did I get O'Neal to laugh?" Sarah laughed. Sir. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so it was good structure to have growing up, and helped a lot of us stay straight and narrow. So big shout out to Pops for that, for sure.
It's so wholesome.
Yeah, man. Shout out, Coach. No, they were big, obviously, on God too. I remember that, being big on God and faith. And was it no swear? Was that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, so no one in our house drank or smoked in high school. Like, it was an absolute no. In fact, when my oldest brother went to college, I'll never forget this. Like, when my oldest brother went to college and then came back, like, I'm not talking about chewing. He went to Wisconsin.
Oh, right next to me. Right next to me.
Out there.
I went to Stout.
Yeah. It's so when he came back. Oh, okay. Yeah. So when he came back from college, it wasn't like chewing tobacco, or it wasn't even pouches. It was like little, like,
They knock you on.
Like,
They knock
wasn't
you
even
on your
too
ass.
Yeah, and he had one of those, and he had it in his bag when he came back from college, and I found it in his room, and it was like I had found a brick of cocaine. I was like, "Oh, Neil, what is this? Like, what are you doing?" Oh, and he was like, "Jeff." Oh shit. But it was like I remember that feeling. So it was probably 2003. So I was 13 years old at the time, and I just remember being like, I can't believe Neil would do something like this. And that was kind of the mentality I had a little bit. So I too, I didn't drink until I went to college as well. And it wasn't even like a contemplation. Like it was just nope, not going to do it. It wasn't going to happen. But also I will say as I got older, they gave me a lot of space to like grow. Like I didn't have a curfew, and like, and they were okay with that because they were giving me enough range with how I had been previous to that. So like, and if my friends were drinking, which they knew of, and like, they were like, okay, like you can stay at our house, like whatever the case may be. It's just like, we know Jazz isn't gonna. So
Man, that's crazy. Maybe that's where that rooted for me, because I didn't drink until my fourth quarter of senior year in high school. But also my parents were alcoholics, so that was a big. I was like, I don't want to do that shit. She keeps sleeping, about to burn burn down the whole building with that cigarette. God damn, ma. But I think, I remember that part for sure. AF, when'd you start drinking?
I grew up, like I said, small town Wisconsin, 1,000 people. There wasn't a lot to do, okay? So I started drinking at like 12, 13. But, when I got to college, I was helping all my friends who didn't drink. They were falling on their asses after like 3 drinks. I'm like, okay, come on, like we got to get you together. So I
was also lucky enough that like I just went straight to beer, and I really rarely drank hard alcohol the first 2 years of college. Like it was just like beer, and I didn't love the taste of beer. And like, we would split a 24 pack between 4 of us. Like I would only drink 6 beers in a night. Like that was like the limit that I like. Yeah, I was a lightweight, so it never got too out of hand.
Boy, it used to be 3 of us. 2 of my homies. We're getting 175 of Ron Diaz. This is back when I had called Team Blackout, y'all. We had party buses every weekend, freaking whatever you needed at the party, we had it. And if you wasn't part of the gang, we was gonna whoop your ass by 2 a.m. That was the gang. That was the thing. And I didn't know that's what we were until I got in trouble and somebody said they got beat up by a gang. And I was like, we ain't no gang. We're just a bunch of partying. They're like, they sell drugs, they freaking fight, they throw parties, they stay up late. I'm like, what? Well, I guess he's fucking right. Damn. After I read that, I said, damn, you're right. But
if it walks a good duck, act like it's that.
Yeah, we drinking 175 an hour between 3 people. I can't believe I ain't dead. That Adderall, boy, how you drinking? This is college, y'all. It's like 10 years ago. It's just, them stories. We got to have some of them on here. But I know you got to get going soon. I'm going to do some of these questions from some of the people who listen. Somebody said, can you sue a prosecutor if you're falsely accused of a crime?
So prosecutors, you cannot sue directly the individuals. It would have to be something like wildly outside of the scope of work. If they mess up, or if they even withhold information, if they do things that you can't do as a lawyer, it has to be really, really, really extreme for people to be able to sue you or to sue prosecutors directly. However, you can sue like the county and like the government generally. So Marvin, that guy that I represent and release, he's able to sue the state, and a lot of states have statutes or laws that say how much you can be compensated, like they put a cap on it. But you can sue the state and the government, but not the individual directly.
So they're protected like a union by the government.
Yeah, it's actually really similar to like police officers. Like, it's really hard to sue a police officer directly because they have qualified immunity, and it's a similar situation with prosecutors.
Interesting.
Did you get the questions there?
Well, I don't know if this one's... So someone did ask, do civil rights even exist, or was Jordan Maxwell correct?
Like,
yeah,
I like it. I like how much fire that person's bringing. And how many civil rights or what civil rights we have definitely over time have applied differently to different people and continue to. And I guess to that point, I do a lot of work with underrepresented people, Black people, impoverished people, whatever. But like the same issues persist for different groups for different reasons. And I just happen to be in this one because I connect to it directly. There's folks who work directly with the LGBTQIA community because like they have deep ties to it and knowledge and understanding of that community. There's people who work with, the Asian community who is facing a lot of troubles at times. Like, and that's one thing I always say is like, you don't have to follow or be a part of whatever the biggest movement is. Everyone didn't have to join supporting Black folks in the struggles that they're having in 2020. Like, do the best work in the community that you know the best and be as helpful as you can there. And maybe you can be more helpful there. I never want to pretend like helping Black folks is the only group of people that need help. It's just the one that I connected to, the most in some of the work that I was doing.
Love it. And then this was another kind of good question. Is freedom of speech only legally applicable to adults or also children? Yeah.
No, yeah. Children absolutely have freedom of speech. And where it's restricted or where you can do it is like different. I think people sometimes wrongfully identify freedom of speech as I can say whatever I want, wherever I want. It's to your relationship to the criminal justice system, right? Like you don't have freedom of speech if you go work at Target to say whatever you want at Target. Like they can fire you. Like that is fine. It's freedom from prosecution around your speech is protected. Obviously, even from the government, you don't get unlimited freedom of speech. You can't yell fire in a building and think that you might not be jailed for it because that can cause chaos, right? Like you can't say anything anywhere and not be prosecuted, right? That is not, freedom of speech is not unlimited freedom from unlimited consequences. There are definitely parameters still.
Love that answer. Well, are we wrapping it up? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Woo, hey, okay. Listen, y'all know Jazz was a superstar football player, right? You know his dad, okay, was disciplined, right? My mom used to drop me off at Buck Hill Skiing Resort.
Oh, no.
She used to drop me off and go work 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. as a server, and I go there with 3 different families and have friends in the morning, friends at lunch, friends at night, because it's cheaper than daycare. So I was a professional skier, I used to hit the pikes. I had the short skis. I was nice. I used to hit the moguls, hit the bunny, the black diamond. I was freaking, eighth grade on doing every hill. I was nice. And I'm like, Jazz, you got to come skiing, man. He's like, no, I ain't going. His dad's like, you ain't going fucking skiing. You ain't going to get hurt, boy. You playing football. You the best one on the team. You the fastest one in the whole state. You ain't going skiing. Jazz's like, I want to go skiing. I'm like, let's go skiing. Let's go skiing. All right, so we go fucking skiing. Oh man, we go skiing and we going right. Jazz is cool. He's an athlete. We're on a chairlift and I'm like, hey, follow me this way. The chairlift, at the end of the chairlift, I said, hey, follow me this way. There was no chance for him to respond. He either was like, all right, I'm going to trust him or I'm not going to go. So we start going down the hill and I go to the right. I go to the right of the hill we're supposed to be going. And all of a sudden, the path turns to like this, right? And it's just trees. You got to go like this to go through. I knew this was here. I've been hitting this path the last 7 Saturdays. This is my secret spot, okay? I hit the thing. Whoop! You hit a jump at the end. Boom! And you got to clear a fence. Jazz ain't cleared that fence, y'all. Jazz tumbled. I mean, you could tell the rest.
It's so funny. I genuinely did not notice what you were going to say. It's so funny you say this because I honestly don't think in my memory you and I have talked about this day since it happened. And this was in 6th grade. 6th grade, I think. Yep. So this is 6th grade. I don't think you and I have talked about it. And when I recite that story, I'm so glad that it's being recorded. That is exactly how I tell it. And you tell a story from when you were a kid and like maybe you're fabricating or you're being hyperbolic or exaggerating. I always tell people, I'm like, the king was like, follow me this way. You're like in between the courses. You know, trees separate the courses. I was just in the tree. And it's not like I could be like, I'm not going to follow him anymore. I'm going to turn to the right. There was nowhere to turn. And he's like 4 feet in front of me. And the next thing I know, I'm like, he's 4 feet in front of me. I can't turn. I can't stop. There's no room to stop. He's just in the air. And I remember looking up at him and being like, how the hell did he get so high in the air? And then I looked down and I too was now in the air. And the fence, I'll never forget the fence, you know, like those plastic, like ski hill fences that are just plastic.
Orange?
Holes in it, look like mesh nets. And I remember seeing, yes, orange. And I remember seeing it and just flailing. And I hit the ground and I opened my eyes. And I remember thinking like, dang, my skis popped off. I can feel that my foot like from the waist down is all the way in the snow. I remember like closing my eyes, like how is my foot all the way in the snow? My skis must be off. I looked down, my foot was not in fact in the snow. My whole leg was on. And so like, I was like, oh no,
I broke my leg. I'm at the bottom of the hill. My leg is broken. My dad's gonna kill me. My leg is broken. I took my skis off. I run up the hill. This ain't no little hill, y'all. This is about halfway down a big ass hill. I run up the hill. I'm like, oh, shit, his dad's gonna kill me. His dad's gonna kill me. Shit, fuck you. He gonna kill me. Get up there. All of a sudden, damn, Greg pull him out on a stretcher, and I'm like, damn, I knew that fence was there. I should have told him about the fence, man. I didn't tell him.
I'm so happy that my memory of it is correct. I can't tell you how validating it is.
And there's a part, and when you were behind me, so there's a part where it picks up speed really fast, like right in the middle of the trees. And then when I had somebody behind me, I'd hit this part all the time. I usually dive into that part and really catch air. But when he was behind me, I dove into it. I said, oh shit, that part's gonna speed him up. I'm like, damn, maybe I should. And you can't turn around. The trees are like this. No, I can't stop. I'm like, fuck, all right, I'm just gonna do what I do. Hopefully Jazz fucking as fast as he is on skis as he is on field.
Oh, man. I
apologize for that, man. Because he was the best one ever.
My dad did not want me to go skiing that day. I begged him, and he finally let me go. And that was the first thing I thought. I was like, he
you screamed it right away.
Yeah, he was like, but it's funny because I had to have surgery. Like I had pins coming out of my leg for 6 or 9 months or something like that. And like I was like, I wonder if this is gonna like affect my career. But like, hey, I'm a lawyer now, so
man,
it was all
always is
safer. I guess you're welcome. No, I'm just playing. No, I apologize, man, for real. But he'd have been doing something in the NFL regardless. That war was nice, man.
So you messed up his whole athletic career. You didn't tell him about the fence?
Well, look, I messed up his and mine. Shit, 2 for 2.
King, you should be like, well, Martin would still be in jail today if I hadn't done that.
See, come on now, all these people getting saved. Shit, that's part of my contribution.
That's right. You did.
But you basically
skiing secrets. Come on,
you're the one that.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
You really think about it. If you think about it.
Oh, hilarious. Yeah. Okay. Great story.
Good, man. Yeah.
We'll wrap it up. So make sure that you follow Turn Signl on Instagram, and we'll tag the account in the show notes below. And then do you have a website? You can send me the website link. We'll put that too.
Yeah, TurnSignl.com, and it's spelled without the A, so TurnSignl, because we won't stop until we have access to justice for everybody.
Love the slogan. So check it out, y'all. Make sure that if you listen to this again, make sure you leave us a review. This is a really good episode. Spread the love and follow us on Instagram. Sign up for the newsletter. And until next time, have a great day.
Choose yourself, y'all. Choose yourself to strengthen your soul. Thanks, Jazz.
Appreciate you both. All right, y'all.